You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. James Clear. This one quote explains why most people struggle to change and why a few make it look effortless. Atomic Habits is one of the most practical and life-changing books ever written on behavioral change. And it's not about motivation. It's about building better systems, small habits that compound over time. The book is split into 6 main parts with a total of 20 chapters. In this video, we're going to break down every chapter, and more importantly, since you're in the Kubo Stoic channel, we'll connect these ideas to Stoic philosophy, showing how ancient wisdom lines up with modern science. If you're ready to stop chasing goals and start building a system that actually works, let's get into it. Part 1. The Fundamentals. Chapter 1. The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits. At some point, you've probably tried to lock in. Wake up early, work out, eat clean. You go all in, trying to level up 100% overnight. But a few days in, a few weeks in, burnout usually hits. And you're back to square one. James Clear offers a more realistic and sustainable approach. Just aim to get 1% better every day. By the end of the year, you'll be 37 times better. Small improvements done consistently lead to massive results. Not overnight, but over time. James calls it the compound interest of self-improvement. Like investing, the gains aren't instant, but they stack up. The reverse is also true. Get 1% worse each day. Skip workouts, break routines, procrastinate. And you don't just plateau. You slide backwards fast. As Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly. There must be time. Give your best and be patient." Every small choice, every repeated behavior is shaping who you're becoming. So don't chase motivation. Build a system. You don't need intensity. You need consistency. Chapter 2. How your habits shape your identity. Most people try to change by focusing on outcomes. I want to read more. I want to lose weight. I want to be more productive. James Clear argues that the typical approach is not the best way to begin with. Real change isn't about setting better goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally does those things. Don't just try to be a reader. Don't just try to run, be a runner. Don't force discipline. Be a disciplined person. Here's the key. Every action is a vote for the type of person you want to become. One workout doesn't make you an athlete, but do it consistently. And that's who you are. This mirrors what Epictetus said. First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. So instead of chasing goals, ask, who is the kind of person who achieves this naturally? Then cast votes for that identity day by day. You don't need to fake it till you make it. Just show up until it becomes who you are. Chapter 3. How to build better habits in 4 simple steps. Every habit, good or bad, follows the same loop. Cue. Craving, response, reward. Here's how it works. Cue is something that triggers your brain. A feeling, time, or place. Craving means you want a certain reward, but not the habit itself. Response is the action you take. Reward is the result that satisfies the craving and makes you do it again. James Clear says, habits aren't about motivation. They're about mastering this loop. So he gives us 4 simple laws. Law 1. Make it obvious. Law 2. Make it attractive. Law 3. Make it easy. Law 4. Make it satisfying. On the other hand, if you want to break a bad habit, just flip the 4 laws. Instead of making it obvious, make it invisible. Instead of making it attractive, make it unattractive. Instead of making it easy, make it hard. Instead of making it satisfying, make it unsatisfying. These laws act like a toolkit. Use them to reprogram the habits running your life, one loop at a time. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, once said, "Well-being is realized by small steps, but it is no small thing." That's what habits are. Small steps, stacked daily. Remember that. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So build systems that work. Part 2. The first law. Make it obvious. Chapter 4. The man who didn't look right. James Clear opens with a powerful story. A paramedic was visiting family when she noticed something was off about her father-in-law. He brushed it off, said he was fine, but her instincts told her otherwise. She insisted he go to the hospital. A few hours later, he underwent life-saving surgery. She couldn't explain it in the moment, but her brain had picked up on subtle cues. A change in skin color, posture, maybe even tone of voice. It was her system of habits, her trained eye, that noticed what others missed. Most of our behaviors run on autopilot, triggered by invisible cues we don't even notice. This can work in our favor with good habits. But what about the bad ones? Want to take back control? Step 1 is awareness. James suggests starting with a habit scorecard. Write down your daily habits, then label them. Plus, if it's a positive habit, minus if it's negative habit, equals if you consider it as neutral. You don't need to change anything yet, you're just observing, bringing the unconscious into the light. That's exactly what Marcus Aurelius was doing when he wrote Meditations. It wasn't meant to be published or for anyone else. It was kind of a habit scorecard of the soul, a daily audit, a tool to examine his thoughts, behaviors, and beliefs without judgment. He once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In other words, you can't change what you don't notice, but once you do, you can change everything. So start seeing your patterns, track your habits, then, little by little, begin to rewrite them. Chapter 5. The best way to start a new habit. Most people think building a new habit is about willpower. James Clear says it's really about clarity. You don't need to try harder. You just need to make it easier to start. That's where implementation intentions come in. Instead of saying, "I want to work out more," say, "I will work out at 7 a.m. in my living room after I make coffee." It's simple, but powerful. By setting a clear when and where, you remove the friction of indecision. You don't waste mental energy deciding what to do. You just follow the plan. You can also use habit stacking. Attach a new habit to one you already do. After I brush my teeth, I'll meditate for 1 minute. After I pour my coffee, I'll write in my journal. It works because your brain already trusts the old habit, and now it's pulling the new one with it. Even Marcus Aurelius used this idea in a way. He wrote daily, reflected daily. Same time, same habit, same ritual. It wasn't random, it was intentional. He didn't wait to feel motivated to reflect on his character. He made it a consistent part of his day. Marcus said, "You must build up your life action by action." If you want to change your life, don't leave your habits to chance. Anchor them to your day. Chapter 6. Motivation is overrated. Environment matters more. James Clear reminds us, the human body has around 11 million sensory receptors, and 10 million of them are dedicated to sight. In other words, your habits are shaped by what you see. If your phone is on your desk, you'll check it. If junk food is visible, you'll eat it. If your gym clothes are laid out, you're more likely to work out. Clear's message is simple. Don't rely on motivation. Design your environment. Make good habits easier. Make bad ones harder. You don't need more willpower, you need better cues. Musonius Rufus, Epictetus's teacher, understood this. He taught that to build virtue, one must avoid temptations, not fight them. Discipline isn't just about saying no. It's about setting yourself up so you don't have to. To live a good life, he said, we must remove what corrupts it. So don't leave your habits up to chance. Shape the space around you and the habits will follow. Chapter 7. The secret to self-control. During the Vietnam War, U.S. soldiers started using heroin, a highly addictive drug. The government feared a massive addiction crisis when they returned home. But something surprising happened. When the vets came back to the U.S., 9 out of 10 stopped using almost immediately. How? Because their environment changed. No more war zone, no more easy access, no social triggers. The habit broke, not because of willpower, but because the cues disappeared. James Clear uses this story to make a bold point. Self-control is a short-term strategy, not a long-term one. If a habit is always in front of you, sheer willpower won't save you forever. That's why the real secret to self-control is simple. Avoid the cue. Change the environment. Instead of trying not to eat junk food, don't buy it. Instead of fighting the urge to scroll, keep your phone in another room. Instead of forcing yourself to focus, make distractions harder to reach. The most disciplined people are often just the best at avoiding temptations altogether. Musonius Rufus said, "One should train themselves by avoiding temptations, not wrestling with them constantly. Don't just fight bad habits, outsmart them. Control the input and the outcome takes care of itself." Part 3. The second law. Make it attractive. Chapter 8. How to make a habit irresistible. What really drives our habits? Not the habit itself, but the feeling it promises. James Clear said, "We don't crave the action. We crave the reward." You don't want to scroll social media. You want to feel connected. You don't want to smoke. You want to feel calm. You don't want to clean. You want to feel in control. This insight unlocks a powerful strategy. Make the habit attractive, and your brain will chase it. Temptation bundling. Pair something you need to do with something you want to do. For example, only watch Netflix while on the treadmill. Only listen to music or podcasts while doing chores. This merges discipline with desire and pulls you into action. The Stoics taught that desire isn't the enemy. It's a force to be guided. Epictetus wrote, "Every habit and faculty is preserved and increased by the corresponding actions." In other words, the more you choose what's good for you, the more you begin to want it. Temptation bundling works the same way. You start to enjoy the process, not just the prize. And over time, good habits become something you crave. Chapter 9. The role of family and friends in shaping habits. We all like to think we're independent thinkers, but the truth is, we imitate the people around us. James Clear says we tend to adopt the habits of 3 groups. 1. Imitate the clothes. If your partner eats healthy, you're more likely to. If your friends work out, you might join too. Why? Because we want to fit in. We copy those around us, especially those we love. James Clear wrote, "Surround yourself with people who have the habits you want to have." 2. Imitate the many. What's normal becomes invisible. If everyone at the office scrolls their phone all day, it feels natural to do the same. But if your team starts meditating or reading in the morning, you might follow. Culture is powerful. It doesn't push, it pulls. And it pulls you toward the group's habits, good or bad. 3. Imitate the powerful. We copy those we respect. If someone successful wakes up at 5 a.m. and journals, we think maybe I should too. Clear's advice? Join a culture where your desired behavior is the norm. Marcus Aurelius knew the power of imitation. In the very first chapter of Meditations, he lists those who shaped his character. Modesty from his grandfather, self-discipline from his father, kindness from his mother. Even emperors followed role models. The Stoics believed in living by example and choosing who you admire with care. Seneca said, "Choose someone whose way of life as well as words you admire. Let them be your guardian and your guide." If you want better habits, find people who live them, then spend time with them. Let their example pull you upward, because in the end, you become who you surround yourself with. Chapter 10. How to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. Bad habits don't just appear out of nowhere. Often they're solutions to deeper problems. James Clear explains that every behavior serves a purpose. We smoke to relieve stress. We scroll because we're bored. We overeat when we're anxious. The habit isn't the problem, it's a coping mechanism. Instead of asking, "How do I stop this bad habit?" ask, "What am I really trying to solve?" If boredom drives you to check your phone every 5 minutes, maybe the real solution is more meaningful work. If stress sends you to the snack drawer, maybe what you need is a better way to decompress, like walking, lifting, journaling, or talking to a friend. Clear writes, "Habits are modern-day solutions to ancient desires. Comfort, connection, control. The key isn't to suppress those needs, it's to meet them more wisely." The Stoics understood this well. Actions stem from judgments and unchecked emotions. Seneca said, "Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are." Often our bad habits are fueled by false beliefs. That we need distraction, that we can't handle discomfort, that we must obey every craving. But when we pause and reflect, we realize cravings aren't commands, they're just signals. And like the Stoics, we can train ourselves to respond, not with impulse, but with insight. The goal isn't to fight cravings, and it's to understand them, then outgrow them. Part 4. The third law, make it easy. Chapter 11. Walk slowly but never backward. How long does it take to build a new habit? That's the question most people ask. But James Clear says what people really should be asking is, how many does it take to form a new habit? Habits don't form based on time, they're formed based on repetitions. Every time you perform a habit, you're reinforcing a connection in your brain. This process is known as long-term potentiation, the idea that neurons that fire together wire together. In other words, repetition rewires the brain. That's why consistency beats intensity. Doing 10 push-ups every day beats doing 100 once a month. Writing one paragraph every day beats writing 10 pages once a year. James put it simply that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Imperfect action is better than no action. Just show up. Keep the momentum going. The Stoics would agree. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every repetition, no matter how small, is progress. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't aim instant mastery, aim for motion. Just show up, rehearse, repeat." Chapter 12. The Law of Least Effort. We naturally choose the path of least resistance. That's the law of least effort. The easier a habit is, the more likely it is to happen. James Clear says, create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible. Back in Chapter 6, we talked about how your environment shapes your behavior. Now, the goal is simple. Reduce friction for good habits and add friction to bad ones. Make good habits easy. Prep meals in ahead of time. Keep a journal on your bedside. Lay out workout clothes the night before. Make bad habits hard. Block distracting websites. Delete food delivery apps. Keep your phone in another room. When you design your environment this way, habits become automatic. Seneca said, "Sloth, like rust, consumes faster than labor wears. Ease invites decay unless you design your environment to guide you toward growth." So don't rely on motivation. Make the right actions easy and make the wrong ones hard. Chapter 13. How to stop procrastinating by using the 2-minute rule. You have to standardize before you optimize. That's the core idea James Clear drives home in this chapter. Before you worry about doing it better, you need to focus on doing it consistently. And the fastest way to do that is to shrink the habit down. Enter the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Want to journal? Open the notebook and write one sentence. Want to read more? Read one paragraph. Want to stretch more? Get on the floor and hold one pose. It's not about results yet. It's about identity. Casting a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Clear reminds us, a habit must be established before it can be improved. Seneca wrote, "Well-being is attained little by little and nevertheless is no little thing itself." Progress isn't about grand leaps. It's about gentle nudges, repeated often. Start with 2 minutes. Standardize the action. Let repetition build the path. Chapter 14. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. James Clear explains that the best way to stick to good habits is simple. Remove the need to choose. Build commitment devices. Systems that lock in the right action before it's time to act. Want to save more money? Set up automatic transfers every payday. You'll save without even thinking. Want to eat healthier? In Chapter 12, we discussed prepping meals ahead of time. But if you're not confident in the kitchen, try a healthy meal kit to simplify the process. The goal is to make good habits the path of least resistance and bad ones harder to reach. This is the flip side of the 2-minute rule. If you want to stop a habit, add friction. Put the cookie jar on the top shelf. Out of sight, out of mind. Delete the Amazon app. You can reinstall it back if you really need to buy something. Spoiler, you probably won't. Clear writes, "Disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that does not require heroic willpower and self-control." The Stoics knew this too. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Don't just try harder, design smarter. Make good habits inevitable and bad ones nearly impossible. Part 5. The fourth law. Make it satisfying. Chapter 15. The cardinal rule of behavior change. What gets rewarded gets repeated. That's the cardinal rule of behavior change. If a habit feels good, you're more likely to stick with it. The key is to make the ending of the habit satisfying. The human brain evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over delayed ones. For most of history, what helped us survive, food, warmth, connection, gave us instant feedback. That's why we're wired to repeat what feels good now, not later. But here's the problem. Most good habits have delayed rewards, like health, wealth, or discipline. And most bad habits give you an instant hit, like sugar, scrolling, or skipping the gym. The solution? Make good habits immediately satisfying. Track your progress. Check off the box. Say "done" out loud. Share it with a friend. Even a small fist bump can work. Celebrate showing up and not perfection. As Clear says, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. The Stoics wouldn't chase pleasure, but they knew the importance of building character through consistent action. As Epictetus put it, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. So reward the action, not just the outcome. Make the habit feel good now, and you'll keep coming back. Chapter 16. How to stick with good habits every day. Back in Chapter 13, we learned that you have to standardize before you optimize. Shrink the habit, make it doable. Last chapter, we learned that the human brain is wired to seek immediate rewards. That's why bad habits stick, because they feel good right away. Good habits, their rewards often come later. To close that gap, James Clear recommends 2 powerful tools. 1. Habit stacking. We introduced habit stacking in Chapter 5, the idea of anchoring a new habit to something you already do. 2. Habit tracking. In Chapter 4, we introduced you to the habit scorecard, a form of habit tracking. Habit tracking is a way to make your progress visible. Marking an X, checking a box, seeing the chain grow. That tiny hit of satisfaction builds consistency. Clear reminds us to never miss twice. Missing once is a mistake. Missing twice is the start of a new, bad habit. The Stoic Musonius Rufus said, "Practice is more important than theory, for it is practice that leads to virtue." The real reward isn't just the check mark, it's becoming someone who shows up, not perfectly, but consistently. Stack your wins, track your growth, let satisfaction make it stick. Chapter 17. How an accountability partner can change everything. One of the strongest drivers of behavior is social pressure. We're far more likely to follow through when someone else knows our goal, when someone's watching, when someone's expecting us to show up. That's why James Clear introduces the idea of an accountability partner. Someone who knows your goal, your timeline, and your commitment. It's no longer just about internal motivation. Now it's about external expectation. This builds on everything we've covered. In law number 1, make it obvious, we made habits visible. In law number 2, make it attractive, we made them appealing. In law number 3, make it easy, we removed friction. In law number 4, make it satisfying, we added habit tracking and visible rewards. Now we add the social layer, a powerful form of satisfaction. When someone else sees your progress or your excuses, you're far more likely to stay consistent. James shares the story of 2 friends who created a habit contract. If they broke their commitment, they'd face public consequences, even financial penalties. The result? Higher stakes, stronger follow-through. Epictetus once said, "Above all, keep company with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Accountability is a mirror. It reflects not just who you are, but who you aim to become. So don't do it alone. Share your goal. Find someone who'll challenge you to rise higher, and rise with you. Part 6. Advanced Tactics. How to go from being merely good to being truly great. Chapter 18. The truth about talent, when genes matter and when they don't. Here's a truth James Clear highlights. Success is easier when your habits align with your nature. Your genes, personality, interests, even body type, influence which habits feel natural and which feel like a grind. Take Michael Phelps. He has a long torso, short legs, and size 14 feet. He's built like a human torpedo. Combined with hard work, these traits made him one of the most dominant swimmers in history. It wasn't just effort, it was effort in the right circumstances. Clear calls this the explore-exploit strategy. In the beginning, try many things, then double down on what suits you best, the habits that energize you and come more naturally. This doesn't mean you only do what's easy. It means you choose hard things in areas where you're built to thrive. As James writes, genes do not determine your destiny. They determine your areas of opportunity. Epictetus said, "Understand who you are. Bring yourself into harmony with nature. So play to your strengths. Build habits that fit your wiring. Because when nature and effort align, greatness becomes possible." Chapter 19. The Goldilocks Rule. How to stay motivated in life and work. We're most engaged when we enter a flow state, that zone where challenge meets skill and time seems to disappear. James Clear calls this the Goldilocks Rule. Humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Not too easy, not too hard, just challenging enough to keep us locked in. But even the perfect level of difficulty can become dull over time. That's why Clear warns us. The greatest threat to success is not failure, it's boredom. And this is where true mastery begins. As James puts it, anyone can work hard when they feel motivated. It's the ability to keep going when work isn't exciting that makes the difference. Musonius Rufus taught, "Only through repeated practice can one become virtuous, even when the repetition becomes tiresome." Discipline means showing up when you don't feel like it. Progress means doing the work, especially when it gets dull. So if you're bored, good. You're in the arena. Don't chase excitement. Chase consistency. Chapter 20. The downside of creating good habits. By now, we've seen the power of habits. They shape identity, drive consistency, and create long-term results. But James Clear ends the book with a warning. The downside of habits is that you stop thinking. Habits make life efficient, but they can also make it automatic. You start coasting. Improvement stalls. Self-awareness fades. You stop questioning whether your habits still serve your goals. That's why James emphasizes the importance of reflection and review. Just like we need repetition to build habits, we need reflection to refine them. Ask yourself, are my habits still aligned with who I want to become? Am I improving or just repeating? Is this routine still serving me or just familiar? The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Every day we should call ourselves to account." True mastery isn't about getting locked into routines. It's about staying awake to them, adjusting, evolving, staying intentional. So review your systems, audit your identity, and never forget, habits are tools, not cages. And with that, your journey through atomic habits is complete. If you enjoyed this video and found value in this summary, I highly recommend picking up a copy of James Clear's book. What we covered here is just the surface. The book goes deeper with real stories, proven strategies, and practical tools that can truly transform your life. If you're on the path of building better habits and living with intention, be sure to leave a like, comment the habits you're working on, and subscribe for weekly content on self-improvement, stoicism, and timeless wisdom. And if you're ready to keep learning, there's more waiting for you right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.